All guests on ZASLOW Show 2.0 brought to us by the official beer of the program, Johnny Cuba. European roots with that Caribbean soul, a refreshing German lager in a can. Pick up a six-pack of Johnny. You go to johnnycuba.us. You can use the Johnny locator. Find the nearest Johnny to you. And again, make sure you always drink responsibly. And of course, don't forget Johnny Cuba's mantra, stay tranquilo. Joining us now is our homegirl, the queen, Joy Taylor, here with us. All over the place. She got all kinds of shows. Of course, Speak on FS1. Her new podcast with Taylor Rooks, Too Personal. Joy, tell me how the podcast is going.
Podcast is going great. I will say it's been a learning curve not doing sports. Like the biggest difference in doing like culture, relationships, entertainment, whatever from sports is like no one thinks that you're actually giving Pat Riley advice. You know, when you say something that the Heat should do, no one receives it as that, not even Pat Riley. But like if you say, hey, you know what? I don't really like movies for first dates because I want to get to know the person. And a movie's kind of like it's a good like third date. Then everyone's like, fuck you. Why are you giving me relationship advice? It's like, no one said you have to do that. I'm just saying that's my preference. It's like a interesting thing. It's a very big difference from sports, but we're having a great time. We love it. And I'm at Fuse right now for me and MJ's show Like a Girl, which premieres on August 21st on Fuse. So we are doing our last shoot for that today.
I mean, I thought we were getting edgy on our show on Zaslow and Joy back on 7. I think when we were doing just the tips and we're getting pushback from management. The two of you girls, I mean, you're answering all kinds of sexual questions.
I don't think so. I haven't really gotten into sex. I think we were way more edgy on just the tips. Actually, just the tips got us in trouble because we took it too far, I guess. Or the listeners did.
What was the incident that we took it too far? Like, I know we were always towing the line.
I know. But... we love to toe the line. I mean, the question that eventually got just the tips.
You remember?
Yeah, of course. These are core memories. I know exactly what it was because it did really well, and it did in fact too well.
What was it?
So a guy, of course, asked for advice on how to have a threesome, and I gave them really very clearly good advice.
And we talked about that on the show?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't give a fuck. We were doing whatever.
Oh my God. How do I not remember that? I do not remember that. Was Romberg with us? Was it the three of us or was it just you and me?
Of course Romberg was with us.
I do not remember this. And that's what kind of put it over the edge?
Yeah.
Do you miss doing radio? I mean, TV's its own thing, obviously, but it's not radio. Do you miss doing radio?
I do. I love radio. You know this. Radio has like even different from podcasting because it's live, and especially local radio. Like local radio has this real cult. I mean, people still ask me about our show. It's been like almost 8.5 years since we did our show.
It's been a little more. Yeah, it's been like 8.5 years. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I still get asked about the show all the time.
It's awesome.
Yeah, awesome. It's great. Like even people that live in Miami or live here or that are from Miami that used to listen. Anytime I go to Miami, people bring it up. It's all the time. So like that to me. I mean, obviously we did an all-time great show together, but that to me like also just tells you like how much of a part of like morning specifically routine radio is for people like driving into work, and like you feel like you get to know us. And obviously you were like really getting to know us because you and I were just like, we're just doing this show.
Oh my God, we were kids. We were like kids.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So it's fun. I miss that part of it. And like also now you can really like have relationships and like friendships with listeners. You can't do that now. People are nuts. Like, and social media has become such a terrible place that even like people that watch the show and are supportive, like you got to sift through all this bullshit to even get to people like that genuinely support and like the show to talk to them. So that part sucks also, because it's harder to like, I love talking to fans, and I love talking about sports, and I love talking about, you know, all kinds of stuff. And it's really hard to have like real conversations with listeners and viewers now.
You know, in a couple months, 790 tickets coming up on 20 years since the inception. 20 years in two months? Yeah, in 2 months from now.
It's crazy.
20 years. Crazy.
I know. I mean, I graduated high school 20 years ago.
And they flushed that shit right down the toilet. Just flushed it right down the toilet like it was nothing. Terrible. 2 months from now, 20 years. Yeah. Joy, we're really close to NFL training camps. That means I get to start incorporating some NFL topics. It's such a slow time of the year right now. Like this July, thank God for the Florida Panthers, where it took us down here so deep into June. Best night of my life, Florida Panthers win the Stanley Cup. But now in July, it's such a nothing. There's nothing happening. And the Miami Heat have literally done nothing in free agency. So there's really nothing. We get to start incorporating all the NFL stuff. So if I would ask you for your top NFL storylines going into the season, the first ones that come to mind are what?
Yeah, July is brutal.
So bad.
July is brutal. Well, first of all, I mean, obviously, I think Aaron Rodgers and the Jets are.
I think it's number one. I think it's number one, second straight year.
They're once again the top story. Aaron, you know, and I don't care about him missing like the little mandatory mini camp. But it's always like something with him.
He used to be Joy, you go back like 6-7 years ago, he was like so likable, and now. Yeah. You can't stand him. I mean, he's awful.
We should all know less about each other. Is really the line for that. But he wants to be everywhere. Like the victimhood thing with Aaron is what's interesting to me. Like, you do all of this media, you do all of these interviews, you commit to these podcasts and these shows, and then you're like, why is everyone talking about me? It's not like you're Kawhi Leonard. You know, like you used to be that, but like now you're everywhere. So like, of course it's going to talk about it. Then you go to New York. So yeah, I think the pressure, like on the pressure meter, I think the Browns are up there. Like what's going to happen with Deshaun Watson? Is he ever going to be like a functioning NFL quarterback again? The Jets, so the Browns. I love the Texans. I think the Texans are so interesting because they kind of feel a little bit like the Bengals in Joe Burrow's second year. And so I really want to see what the Texans do. I mean, honestly, going into the season, Tua and his deal and everything that's going on with that is something that we're talking about. Dak Prescott, obviously the Cowboys are always in that conversation. I think Jalen Hurts, how's he going to bounce back from like that Super Bowl hangover last year? Josh Allen and the Bills, are they going to be any good at all?
That's a big story to me. Josh Allen and the Bills, one of the top storylines to me.
Yeah, Josh Allen, we talked about it today or yesterday on the show. I think like we've talked about Josh Allen being the MVP like every year since he got good. But this year, I think, especially storyline wise, if they're good, it's going to be because of Josh Allen.
Yeah.
And like he could be a really, not a sneaky, but like this could be the year he actually wins the MVP, because if they're good, it's going to be because of him.
Yeah, if they're good, it'll be because of him. If they're bad, it's not necessarily because of him.
Right. Which kind of works in his favor. But speaking of that, the Bengals, you know, Joe Burrow is coming off of injury. We expect them to be great again because all they do is go to the AFC Championship game or the Super Bowl if he's healthy. So is he going to stay healthy for the whole year? Russell Wilson and the Steelers. Mm-hmm. Lamar Jackson coming off of an MVP year that everyone didn't really think was like that impressive, and then obviously kind of a disappointing end to their season based off of, you know, being a 2-time MVP. I think I can't wait for the season to be here. There's like, we didn't really even mention that many NFC teams. There's so many storylines this year.
Now, a couple of nights ago, you were at the Netflix premiere, right? For the new show Receivers. They did quarterback last year. You got to watch some of the episodes or the premiere episode?
They actually showed us episode 5 because that episode featured all of the players from the season.
So who are they?
It's Devontae Adams, Amon-Ra St. Brown, George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, and Devontae, and oh my God, why am I blanking? Devontae Adams, Justin Jefferson.
And is it good?
It's really good. It's really good. It's interesting. Like the Devontae Adams, Aaron Rodgers relationship is like they're extremely close. And we give James Jones on our show a hard time because he's always defending Aaron Rodgers because they're very close. And it's funny. I said to him like in the meeting, I was like, "Damn, y'all really love Aaron Rodgers. Like for somebody who has become extremely unlikable to a lot of people, y'all really love him. Like you must."
But like,
does
James Jones
different relationship with him?
Well, does James Jones say that like the guy that we're seeing now, was he that guy or was he a different guy?
I think it's like they know him differently, if that makes sense.
So maybe he was different.
Yeah, but also maybe he's different to them. Like, you know what I mean? Like maybe he's not peddling his, conspiracies to them when they're having bro dinner. You know what I mean? Like maybe they're just talking ball and family and stuff. And I don't know. Like it's such a weird time like in society. It's such because we're all so divided on so many things that it's become difficult to like stay friends with people depending on what comes out of their mouths, And I think when it comes to sports in the locker room, particularly the locker room, so many times I've heard guys say like, look, the locker room is just a different place. Like we talk about a lot of things, but at the end of the day, we're teammates. So even if we disagree completely on something, we go out onto the field and compartmentalize that. And I think that creates these kind of different relationships. You know what I mean? Because it's the only way that I can, like, in my brain, quantify those type of things. Because I'm not really built like that. Like, if you fundamentally don't believe that I deserve the same human rights that you do, I'm sorry, I don't fuck with you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what you want me to do about that. Like, it's not. I don't care about all the other things that we have in line. I'm not gonna be able to move past that.
Yeah, but if I'm doing a show with you, if I'm doing a radio show with you, and you beat up women, I'm probably not gonna want to work with you.
Yeah, and then we don't even have to take it to that extreme. Like, it just fundamental beliefs about like society and culture and like, do you deserve to have the same access to healthcare that I do, and like just all the things that we argue about all day. I think when it comes to locker rooms, there is just this sort of unspoken thing that there's the lines across before I really truly won't even want to play with you is so far. So I don't know that that's how James or Devontae feels, but there's an interesting moment. You can see it all the episodes are up now on Receiver.
Oh, okay.
So we watched episode 5 at the premiere. It's brilliantly done. Like they do such a good job with the show. But episode 5, Devontae, they show the Jets Raiders game, and Devontae and Aaron have a long dinner the night before the game or that weekend or whatever, and catch up, and they're just on the field talking about it, which I thought was interesting because it's just Aaron Rodgers is such he's such a strange celebrity, like he has all of this like cult following in different spaces that he didn't used to have, and he's hard to cover for me because he's such a great player, and then there's so much personality that he's introduced us to.
He seems like a huge asshole. I mean, let's just be honest.
I mean, I don't know him. I don't agree with a lot of the things that he says and does. And I don't really like anybody that thinks they're the smartest person in the room. Like, I'm interested in conversation. There's things I know that you don't know. There's things you know that I don't know. But at the end of the day, why are you talking at me? About a topic that you genuinely do not know anything about, if we're being serious. Like, again, I blankly write people off as soon as they start talking to me about something I know they fundamentally don't know anything about. When did you go to medical school?
You watch YouTube. Come on. You watch YouTube.
If the answer is never, please kindly take this conversation to anyone that cares, because I don't give a fuck what you think. I don't care what you think. There's nothing you could say to me that would convince me that you're the person I should be getting medical advice from, especially when I have a dear friend who is a medical doctor that I could just call or text anytime. So there's no reason I would come to you for that. There's probably things I would come to you for. Like if I want to know how to play the quarterback position at a high level, I would come to you for that. Or if I want to know, you're say like an electrician, like I want to know how to do this wiring, like you would be the person I would come to for that. Or like, I don't know, like you drive an 18-wheeler. I have no idea how to do that. I can, I stick to my Tesla. Maybe you have some tips. I don't know, whatever it is that you do, but what you are not is a medical doctor. So I don't care about that. So I think that there's these things about him that make it difficult. In any part of our job, there's a separation of art and artist. Like what I think about him with the Jets has nothing to do with him, like who Aaron Rodgers is as a personality. What I think about him with the Jets is Jets haven't been to the playoffs since 2010. I have no idea what Robert Saleh is as a head coach. Like if you swear you do, like good for you, because I don't know. Maybe he's a good coach. I know he's a good defensive coach. As a head coach, I have no idea what he is. They've been dysfunctional and bad before he was there, since he's been there. And I don't think it's all his fault. You need a quarterback to win. But I think you could have had like a decent backup quarterback, Like the Browns managed to win with Joe Flacco and five other quarterbacks. Like, what's your excuse? How does Mike Tomlin do this every single year? You know what I mean? I mean, he's a Hall of Fame coach, but like people win with backup quarterbacks. Like it is possible.
Yep.
Especially if your team is that good. So, I don't know what Robert Saleh is. I know the Jets are not a team that has any cultural identity. And I don't know. The last time we saw Aaron Rodgers play a full season, he didn't throw for more than 300 yards that entire year. They missed the playoffs. He played kind of bad in the game that they needed to win against the Lions to make the playoffs. And that was 18 months ago.
My biggest example is Deshaun Watson was a top-tier quarterback. He was away from football for 2 years, and now he fucking sucks. Aaron Rodgers is 40 years old, coming off a major injury. He's been away from football for 2 years. I think he's going to stink.
That's the other part of it, is that he's 40 years old. He's going to be 41 mid-season. And he's coming off of an Achilles injury, which, when did
we thought Marino's career was over when he tore his Achilles 30-some-odd years ago.
Achilles, when did the Achilles injury become, hitting your funny bone? People, it's an Achilles. It's the same thing with Kirk Cousins. I'm like, you guys, he's coming off of an Achilles injury. It's the worst thing you can do, basically.
It used to be considered the worst injury, the worst.
Right. Other than your neck, right? Or your head, obviously. The Achilles is the worst thing. It takes the longest to come back from. It's really, really hard to trust your body again. And so yeah, we're disregarding the 40 going on 41. We're disregarding the Achilles injury. We're disregarding the time away from the sport. And we're disregarding that the last time you did play a full season, you weren't really good. So I think there's just a lot of factors when it comes to that it's getting really overlooked, because there's all the personality stuff that everybody thinks it's about. I'm like, I don't know. I'm just looking at all these facts that if his name wasn't Aaron Rodgers, if we slotted anyone else in there, it would be reasonable for us to be curious about how it's going to look. And Deshaun Watson is a good example. And Deshaun wasn't even off for injury.
Right.
So and he's younger. So I don't know. It's going to be really, really interesting to watch. And if nothing else, they're going to give us storylines, which I always appreciate. So
we both agree. Jets, Aaron Rodgers, number one storyline going into this season. We're very close. Joy, I'm going to let you go here first, though. Have we seen any new movies? And what are we watching right now? Have you finished Netflix, or are you watching stuff still?
I really have not had a lot of time to sit down. I'm a couple episodes behind on Game of Thrones, which is very sad because
House of Dragon.
Game of Thrones 2 is the official name.
It's so good. I haven't watched this week's episode yet. I hear it's the tits. Some shit went down. I haven't watched it yet. It's so good.
Yeah, I've been avoiding online spoilers, but yeah, I'm gonna watch the next 2 episodes. I'm also watching Bridgerton, and I'm watching Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. MJ Acosta Ruiz is a judge, so she's in like the first 2 episodes, which was cool.
Right.
And I'm gonna watch Sprint on Netflix.
What's that?
In preparation, it's their docuseries on the sprinters. So in preparation for the Olympics, which I'm very excited about.
Okay.
And what else am I watching? Oh, I just started. I like, this is not a new show, but I just started Mayor of Kingstown, which was really good.
That's with Jeremy Renner?
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to watch that. It's good?
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
Okay.
I like it. I was getting my hair done the other day and we binged a couple episodes. So yeah, it's good. So I'm dabbling in a bunch of different spaces. I'm also reading books. So, you know, I with the 2 minutes I don't have scheduled in my day.
Okay. All right. You're all over the place, Joy. Tell everyone how they could see you, how they could hear you, all that good stuff. Go ahead.
Speak on FS1 weekdays, 4:30 p.m. Eastern. And you can catch Too Personal. It comes out every Wednesday. So go subscribe to our YouTube page. That's my podcast with Taylor Rooks.
You tell Taylor Rooks I say hello. You tell her I say hello.
I will tell Taylor you said hello. Yes. And Alex Curry, of course. I'll also tell Alex Curry
always.
You said hello. Yes.
Always.
And then MJ and I have our show Like a Girl season 2 premiering August 21st on Fuse. We will have more information and stuff coming out over the next couple of weeks, but that's the premiere date. We have a lot of great women on the show this year. It's a really, really cool show. I'm really proud of it. So I'll come back on with you before to give a few more details about it, but it premieres August 21st. So, and you can follow me on social, Joy Taylor Talks.
All right. Excellent job, Joy. Get back to work.
Thanks, Az.